Welcome and welcome back to Really Legal. I'm attorney Ethan Bearman. So Steve Bannon got rejected by a unanimous decision of a 3-judge panel on the D.C. Court of Appeals today. I'll give you the good, the bad, and what's next. So we're going to dive into this here in just a moment, but I want to start with the idea that Steve Bannon, everybody's favorite Jabba the Hutt impersonator, who did work for the Trump White House for 6 months at the beginning of Trump's term and then got fired by Donald J. Trump because of some disputes that were happening in the White House. This is really important that he only served in the White House for those 6 months early on, because that's going to play into what happened. And I really want to get into this because I'm seeing a lot of garbage out there right now about what happened with Steve Bannon and what this means. So let's go back to the beginning. Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro allegedly were helping to plan the overthrow of our election in 2020. It was Navarro and Bannon who were supposedly the masterminds behind this whole thing. And it really, they're not necessarily masterminds. And Steve Bannon loves to talk a lot and claims to be a lot of different things. But I want to go back in time. So the January 6th committee, remember that? Liz Cheney, Benny Thompson. We were getting into the bottom of what really went down on January 6th. It was critical. I believe it actually prompted the DOJ to take a number of actions. And importantly, the January 6th committee subpoenaed Steve Bannon. And at the time, Donald Trump told him not to testify. Steve Bannon claimed his attorneys said he didn't have to respond to this subpoena. And the January 6th committee did something that is almost unheard of throughout American history, which is, hey, you're going to not pay attention to a congressional subpoena. We want to criminally charge you. We're going to criminally refer you for refusing to even acknowledge and respond to our subpoena. And that's exactly what happened. So take a look at this CBS News clip all the way back from October of 2021.
As much as they hate Trump, as much as they hate me, as much as they hate all these other folks, they fear you.
But just a day earlier, Bannon addressed this Virginia rally.
I pledge allegiance to the flag,
where supporters pledged allegiance to a flag that was allegedly carried during the riot. Bannon was urged not to cooperate by former President Trump, and in a letter obtained by CBS News, Bannon's attorney said until the committee reaches an agreement with the former president over the scope of executive privilege, Mr. Bannon will not be producing documents or testifying.
So look, Steve Bannon then was charged in federal court in Washington, D.C. for violating, this congressional subpoena. And what's interesting is his defense all along has been, look, my attorney said I didn't have to comply with this subpoena. So anyway, in D.C., he was found guilty of not complying with a congressional subpoena and received a 4-month jail term. However, the jail term was suspended while he appealed. So it was today, May the 10th, 2024, that this 3-judge panel, an Obama judge, a Trump judge, and a Biden judge unanimously ruled that Steve Bannon, he's going to jail.
You right to jail. You undercook fish, believe it or not, jail. You overcook chicken, also jail.
By the way, it looks like he maybe has eaten undercooked fish and overcooked chicken, and I sure hope he enjoys those in jail. But unlike what you're seeing a lot of people talk about on the internet right now, he's not going straight to jail. They're not taking him to jail. What's happening is the 3-judge panel has allowed him and stayed for a week the jail sentence while he appeals for a full panel, an en banc hearing on his appeal, and he can also appeal to the United States Supreme Court. But just like Peter Navarro, I highly doubt the United States Supreme Court is going to hear an appeal from Steve Bannon for absolutely refusing to obey a subpoena. But what's also very interesting in this 3-judge panel ruling that was issued today is that they said, look, you had 2 White House attorneys say, you have to comply with this. You're not protected by executive privilege here. And that's a really important argument. Just to speciously claim executive privilege does not hold up. I know. I hear this every day from all kinds of people, all of you commenting. By the way, I love your comments down below. And people saying, look, the law doesn't work. It does. It works slowly. And I keep saying this, the wheels of justice turn, slowly. They do turn, often frustratingly slowly, but they do turn. And here, that's what's happening with Steve Bannon. Look, he was told, no, you can't put this thing off. You can't use hey, my lawyer told me not to respond to the subpoena as a defense. It's not a defense. So the appeals court, the 3-judge ruling was absolutely spot on. By the way, why am I not wearing a jacket today? In case you're wondering, I always wear a jacket. Well, today, because of this ruling against Steve Bannon, I thought I would impersonate probably the most useless congressman from Ohio, who allegedly ignored reports of his wrestlers being sexually abused. Jim Jordan, can anybody tell me the last time he proposed, wrote, drafted, sponsored a bill that actually passed in Congress? I bet you can't. Because he's another one who doesn't listen to these subpoenas. He was subpoenaed to testify regarding January 6th. So you're probably asking, and maybe you're not, why is Jim Jordan not going to jail? Because he's a sitting member of Congress. So there's a difference between somebody who is claiming executive privilege, not responding to the subpoena, and a sitting member of Congress that goes through ethics committees. They have their own rules. Congress itself is not going to refer a sitting congressperson for not responding to a subpoena, because that opens the door, as you've seen, since the Republicans retook the House in the 2022 election. By the way, vote blue this fall as much as humanly possible, that you can stomach and digest and actually make it to the polling booth and do that. But we have seen James Comer with baseless allegations brought against President Biden. This is why we don't want to open the door to prosecuting sitting congresspeople for not replying to a subpoena that opens the door to lots of other problems when Republicans are in charge. I know. I hear your arguments. I understand them. So Steve Bannon is likely to be going to jail soon, but we have to wait for another appeals court. All right, so what's the good, the bad, and what's next? The good is the appeals court saw right through his garbage defense, and he's facing jail soon. So that's the good news. The bad news is he still has more time before he goes to jail, because he has the right to appeal en banc for a full appeals court hearing. They can refuse to hear it, saying, there's nothing new here. He also can appeal to the Supreme Court. I doubt they're going to take the case because of what happened with Peter Navarro, who I'm sure is enjoying himself right now in federal prison. And what's next? So we have to hear what's going to happen with this next appeal. But really, the wheels of justice are turning. And this is good news for the American people. I know. And I know that I've seen so many of you ask me to talk about Judge Eileen Cannon in Florida. We'll get to some more of those cases. But look, you got to share the video with your friends. Ask people to subscribe. Watch the commercials as they play. That actually helps support us here at Really American. Click that like button. Smash the subscribe button. I really do love you guys. You know that. So comment down below. I love reading your comments. Really, really appreciate you. I am attorney Ethan Bearman. Look, have a great weekend. This is Really Legal on the Really American Network.